Let me check the chat and make sure everybody's able to get in. Okay.
Hey guys, we'll get started in a second. We're just letting some more people join in. I think some people are having a hard time getting in.
I'm not sure why they're not able to get in. I posted it on the Herd of Profits. So the link. So hopefully it'll notify everybody to get in. Give me a second. I'm going to do something.
Maybe if we could put that in the chat, Angie.
In which chat? Stevie.
Maybe we could put that in the general chat and the Friday Zoom chat. Oh, there it is. He posted that that's not working. Oh, there you go. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay. We got more people trickling in. How's everybody's Halloween going so far? Is it spooky? Right on. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna do my normal intro. We always like to know, who's new to our group. So if you guys aren't familiar, right, we started this with the elephant challenge. I don't know what we're calling it now, but we're gonna keep going. Our group is our name is the Herd of Profits. Sadikin says I've been wearing my costume all year long. Is that a savvy businessman, Sadikin? That's your costume.
Sadakini Budamani.
Sadikini. I forgot where it was at. We're still doing a continuation of the elephant challenge. We're going to continue to do our 2 weekly Zooms and hopefully provide value to those of you that are, a little bit newer to this real estate investing or creative finance world. So if this is your first time in our group, in our Zoom, if you haven't been with us before, if you could type 1 in the chat. I wonder if we have any newbies. Okay, Jack T. Hogan. If I'm saying that right. Sean Patrick. Nice to have you guys. Today we're actually going to underwrite some creative finance leads. So I'm gonna show our Facebook, show the YouTube, all that good stuff. But if you guys have any leads and you want to raise your hand and go over a lead that maybe doesn't work for cash, or you're just not sure what the next steps are what they look like, what we'll do is we'll break it down and see if there's any creative solution that we can come up with those leads. So first of all, one of the best ways for you guys to get connected with our team, and always have these Zoom links and know what we're doing and stay up to date with us is our Facebook group. So we have our own Facebook group called the Herd of Profits. I'm going to drop the link to that in the chat. If you guys are not a member, feel free to join that group. You have to fill out the questions when you are, prompted to join. Make sure you guys fill out those questions, or you most likely will be denied. Matthew, welcome. But yeah, so some of the benefits of our group, right? Like, we have a lot of sub-2 leaders. So I would venture to say we probably have a sub-2 student in probably all 50 states just in our group alone. We also have lenders and agents and private money lenders, traditional lenders, right? So Jerry Norton's a part of our Facebook group as well, too. So tons of people to connect with, a lot of good resources. Our files tab is also pretty sweet. We have purchase contracts that you guys can download, as well as a ton of other resources, some underwriting calculators, a script, a seller net sheet, subject to frequently asked questions, letter of intent templates. So a lot of good stuff, free value there for you guys to have and to download and do what you want with it. Another resource for you guys to have is Angie's YouTube channel. So this is where we go live. We have 6 people on YouTube. So all of our videos, our Zooms are stored on Angie's YouTube channel. So I'm going to drop the link to that in the chat as well. Some of the stuff you'll see on the YouTube channel, we've called agents live. We've done underwriting like today. We've sent offers. We've walked sellers through contracts, tons of free value, mostly geared towards creative finance. So if you guys want to come check out Angie's YouTube, please drop a like and subscribe and comment and share it with your friends and your dog and your grandma. We greatly appreciate it. So sweet. Let me go to stop share. I saw someone raise their hand. I don't know if that was an accident or not, but yeah, today's plan, we just want to do underwriting. So if you guys are working on a lead, maybe you drove by a house, you're looking at a Zillow listing, an agent sent you an off-market property, whatever you got, we want to help you convert it to creative finance, or at least help you structure, underwrite it, see what a good offer would look like, and go from there. So if you guys have any leads you're curious about, you need help with, feel free to share them. We're not going to steal your leads unless you're open to JVing. We're not going to steal your leads regardless, but if you want a JV, we're open to that. So let's see. Simon, do you got something?
Oh, yeah, I have.
Awesome, man.
I've got a lead that's come through me cold calling an agent, and
Okay.
I've tried to comp it on Privy, but it's off market. And the last time it was actually sold was in 1994.
Wow.
So, and it's in Arizona. It's a 3-bed, 1 bathroom, but 1 room can be an office. They're asking $510,000 for it. Now, looking at the comps around the area, they're going for around between 6 and 650 in the kind of same ballpark area.
Okay.
Now, the property is dated, and probably need a good refresh, paint, decorating inside and out. That's basically all I've got as regards to that. Now, in terms of the sellers, the motivation is they're elderly and they're moving on to assisted living. So they kind of, when you're looking at creative, I think is the agent says they're not interested. But
gotcha.
From this point of view, ideally, I just want to see where you're coming up on this type of thing and ask me the questions that I haven't given you the answers to yet. Right.
Okay. So good to know. So it's an on-market property. The motivation is they're elderly or on market. It is. It's so it's off market, but it's like an agent has a pocket listing. You're saying?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Do they have a listing agreement with that agent? Do you know?
I did speak to him about it, and he's kind of said no, because I was calling him on another property, that was on a listing. And he said, "Oh, they weren't interested in creative on that," and said, "Look, I've got an off-market property. Are you interested?" So, and I said, "Well, send me the details," and that's how I've got it, basically.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm always curious to know, like, why don't they just list it? Did you ask that agent, like, why don't they just put it on the market and see what they can get?
I kind of did ask that question, and he was a bit elusive about that. So I raise eyebrows at a few things on it, but so yeah.
Okay. So he was not really clear. Maybe the home's in just very rough shape. How did you see it? Do you live in Arizona, or did he send you pictures? How did that work?
I asked him for some pictures. He sent me some pictures, and then I've got Privy, so I put it into Privy, and it come up that it was a dated property. I only got 2 photos, and then it went to Redfin, and then I started looking at everything around it. So there was only 2 pictures, which was an aerial photo and a front picture, which you can see everything's intact. Mm-hmm. And it just looks. If you look at next door, either way, they're very well painted, presented, and everything. And this one has just kind of been left to run down a bit, but it doesn't look as though it's only decorative looking at it. The inside of it, every room is very dated, so you can see it's elderly people that have had it for a while.
Mm-hmm. They bought it back in the 90s.
Yeah. Okay. When you get onto, he didn't, in terms of taxes, anything like that. I couldn't find any of that, and they have got a mortgage on it. What, I don't know. He wouldn't tell me. Okay. And then there's another thing. He's they apparently have got solar panels that they put on there, and they want the buyer to pay for them in the tune of $28,000.
Okay, good to know. If you can shoot me just a DM in the chat with the address, I'll be able to pull up their mortgage info and see if they even have a mortgage, and be able to take a little bit closer of a look. But yeah, the face of this deal, it sounds like a fix and flip, right? Like, it's outdated. There's some solid comps to support that. Hey, this thing might be actually worth $600 to $650. Now they have an asking price in mind, right? You said it's 5 something.
Yeah. Okay. 510,000.
Okay. Yeah, you always want to know, like, what has this real estate agent done so far? Like, who else has he sent this to? Have you had any offers on it? Like, why don't they go list it? I'm very curious what's going on. If the home's not in horrible condition, like, it's actually somewhat financeable, their best bet's to go on the market. So why aren't they doing that? Like, that's always a good question to know. And it sounds like the agent's a little elusive, but I would push a little bit more. But
I did ask about any discount or any kind of drop in the price.
Yeah.
And he kind of said there may be, may not. And I said, well, okay. And I actually threw a price at him of 470,000. He said, well, we've had offers of that, and they've turned it away. But he said, just put an offer in and it could be accepted. So
interesting. Okay. So they've rejected offers below 500 already then.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So like, when I'm doing quick math, and then, if you want to shoot me a DM with the address, I'll be able to pull up the mortgage. Let me go to this. So just like very quickly, if I'm going to underwrite this, you guys always still want to look at a deal from a cash perspective too, right? Like, that's going to be my first offer on a property like this that needs work is a cash offer. They probably have enough equity to do that. So, without looking at it in too much context, right? Let's assume that Simon is right. The ARV is, what do you say, Simon? 630, 650?
No, I'd say comfortably 616, say.
616. Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
So 616,000, right? So now you need to figure out your max allowable offer. Did you you said 470 is the number you threw at him? or 417?
Yeah, 470. Yeah.
Okay. And was that, did you just come up with that just to see what they'd say to it, or did you
Well,
put some math behind that?
I kind of, with looking at what's around in the area and to arrive to the 616 after doing Reno and all that type of thing, I thought 470 would be an ideal figure, and that would leave something in there for profit.
Okay. So yeah, I'm going to run through that math real quick for everybody else. So if your ARV 616, right, like this is approximately what you sell the home for, right? You're going to pay closing costs around $43,000. All I did was multiply 616. What is going on there? How did that happen? Who's Oscar Rose? How is someone doing that? Oscar, if you could not do that for me, brother. I don't know how you're doing that. Okay, so that's so crazy. What is going on? How is he in my computer right now? That's freaking me out. Oscar, could you not be in my computer? Okay, so closing costs 43,000. All I did to get that was 616,000 times 0.07, so 7%, give or take, right? As an investor, you can probably get a real estate agent to list it for less than a total of 6% commission, pay a couple of points in closing costs. So $43,000, give or take, right? You're also going to have renovation. Do you know the square footage off the top of your head, Simon?
It was quite low, but the whole thing was 10,000 square feet. But I would say something like 1,900.
Okay, and you sent me the address too.
I did send you the address, yeah.
Okay. Let me check it out on PropStream real quick. Oscar, you're a wizard, man. How are you drawing on my computer like that? I've never seen. Okay, let me throw it into PropStream real quick. This is in Phoenix. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1,800 square feet. I do see the solar on there. So going back to this, right? So how I estimate repair costs, I'm not a contractor. I have very minimal construction experience. If you guys come to our Facebook, go to the files tab. We have this document estimating repair costs. This is an amazing PDF that if you have no construction experience, will help you determine what it would cost to renovate a property. So, I haven't seen the pictures, but from what it sounds like, it sounds outdated, but it doesn't have like major plumbing or electrical issues. The roof is probably okay. Maybe the major components are okay. Who knows how old the windows are, right? So I'd have to do a little bit more due diligence to accurately comp this. But if you're dealing with a property that maybe, let's just say, needs carpet and paint, and maybe an update to a bathroom here and there, you're probably only looking at $20 a square foot. When you're talking about renovating a kitchen, bathrooms, floors, carpets, maybe some windows, lighting fixtures, updating the roof, you're looking at $40 a square foot. If you're looking at some new plumbing, electrical, maybe tearing a wall down on top of everything else, you're going to be closer to 60. If a property is completely destroyed, you got to do everything besides scrape it. You're going to be closer to 80. And then obviously if you scrape it and rebuild, that's going to be anywhere from $150 to $250 a square foot. So this property sounds like it's in between that $40 and $20 a square foot. Simon, would you say that's accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say, yeah, accurate.
Okay.
Carpets is one thing you did say.
Right. Okay. And I just forgot the square footage. So 1879. Okay. So 1879, let's just go right in the middle. And I shared it. 1879. So 1879, I'm going to say times $30 a square foot, just in that middle there. So $30, you're looking at a renovation of roughly 56,000. Let's call it 56,000. You're also going to have holding costs. You're going to have a wholesale fee. Simon, would you want to flip this, or would you rather wholesale it? What would you like to do with this property?
I haven't even thought about that, but at this point, put wholesale in it.
Wholesale it, okay.
Yeah.
That's what we do all the time. You know, like we keep properties if they make sense, but if it's like an out of state flip, it's probably best just to wholesale it.
Yeah.
So holding costs right now, this could vary depending on who your buyer is, right? If a hedge fund comes in and buys it, they have all the money in the world, their holding costs are going to be zero. But if a fix and flip investor buys it, they have to get a hard money loan, their holding costs are going to be more expensive, right? So this number is hard to figure out, but let's say, for example, we got it at 470,000. A hard money lender is going to want anywhere from 2 to 5 points. So that's percentages. So 3% would be 14,000. You would have to come to the table with that, or in addition to your loan. And then, you know, if your loan is, like I said, 470,000, they're going to charge you anywhere from 15 to 20% interest only. So not this payment, but interest only, which is basically that same payment. So 70,441 divided by 12 is roughly $5,800 a month. Where's my at? So 5,800, a project like that, a renovation like this probably only takes 2 months. So let's just call it another $10,000 for holding costs. Wholesale, we typically shoot to make $15,000 on an assignment fee. If we can make more, we'd love to do that, but we always try to make a minimum of 15. Okay. And then your investor, they have to make a profit too, right? So if, you know, again, it depends on who your investor is. Some people want to make 10%, some people want to make 20%, some people want to make more. So on a $616,000 property, you're probably looking to make around 15%, so 92,000. Let's just call it 100 grand. So you subtract, you take 616 and subtract all these, and you have your maximum allowable offer, your Mayo. So if I do this math, 616 minus 43,000 minus 56,000 minus 24,000 minus 15,000 minus 100,000. We're closer to 378, right? So that's like the difference is your investor needs to make a profit too. Maybe it doesn't need to be 100 grand. You know, like some investors would probably be stoked to make 50 grand on a flip like this. So you have wiggle room in there, but yeah, I would say if your ARV is only 616, right? And you know, a ton of variables, like who knows if your renovation's actually 56,000. If you don't have to borrow hard money, then this can go, right? But yeah, to be safe, your maximum allowable offer, you're going to want to be close to, I would say, like 400,000 on a property like that. JR says, I was thinking repair costs 50, 60, 90 per square foot for California. That's probably pretty accurate, JR. I would assume. I'm not the expert in repair costs, but I think in California it's gonna be more expensive. So yeah, what do you think, Simon?
I mean, I would have been way off then at that if they'd have accepted that. But hey, but in there as well, you see, you've got this solar panel stuff as well. But the other thing that the agent did say that the seller would sort their fee out. So I don't know whether he's kind of wholesaling it to me through the seller, if you see what I mean. Right.
Maybe he has them locked up at 400 and he's trying to get a big bag on you. Yeah. Very interesting. Typically the sellers are going to pay the real estate agent. So I wouldn't, you know, I probably wouldn't worry about that. He probably just has some agreement with them. Like, hey, if I bring you guys a buyer off market, you know, pay me 2% or something like that. So yeah, you know, and this is why cash is hard, is because, you know, when we were back in 2019, when the market was insanely hot, right? Like you'd probably be safe with guessing your ARV is 616,000, but they were so confident that this is just going to keep going up. Like in the 2 months it takes me to renovate this property, it's going to now be worth 660. That's why, you know, so many fix and flippers lost their shorts when the market tanked. But that's also why a ton of fix and flippers made so much money, is because the 2 months that they held the property, that it just went up in value so much. And then another way to quickly, find out your maximum allowable offer is just to take your ARV of 616,000. And this varies by market, but in Phoenix, it's a little bit hotter of a market. You could probably multiply by anywhere from 0.7 to 0.75. So let's see what 0.75 equals. 616,000 times 0.75 equals 462,000, and then you subtract your renovation budget of 56,000. So again, right at 406,000. So that's where I would say, that's my cash offer. Now there's some different ways you can creatively structure this, Simon. So, and it all depends on their goals. What they're willing to accept is how you would guide your exit strategy. So, maybe five, what are they asking again? 550?
510.
510?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe 510 is a great price on seller finance, right? Now, for example, right, like if they're open to financing it, a typical, like how I would just structure it, right? If someone just told me their price and said, send me a seller finance offer, I don't know what I want for a down payment, I don't know what I want for a monthly payment. Here's how I would do it, right? I mean, you can say the 0 down, 0 interest, right? But you're just going to turn people off. People aren't going to think you're serious. Pace Morby always talks about his 0 down, 0 interest deals, but he doesn't start his conversations out like that. He finds pretty motivated people that accept that. But when you have someone like this that is working with an agent, right? If you just said 0 down, 0 interest, they probably wouldn't even entertain that offer. So what I try to do is get into the property for less than 7%, because I know when I go to wholesale this, I can sell it for roughly 10%. So if I can get in for 7, exit at 10, right, I made that 3% difference. But in this case, right, we know we're overpaying for a property because it's not worth that much. So I need the terms to be in even more favored, in even more in my favor. So 510,000, that's fine. Down payment, let's shoot for, I would say like 5%. So that would be roughly 25,000. Seller finance, I'm not going to just shoot for 0 interest. I would love 0 interest, right? But like, it's just not realistic. But right, 3% is still a great rate. So 510 minus 25, 485 at 3%, 2044. Where'd my thing go? So 485,000 at 3%. That's where it went. What was that? 2044. So that's your principal and interest payment. That doesn't include taxes and insurance, right? But if these homes are in fact selling for 600,000, right? You might be able to put some little bit of equity into this and rent it out in that neighborhood, right? Is it a 3-bed or a 4-bed? Do you know?
It's a 3-bed with an office, which you can make into a 4-bed. I did ask about rental, and the agent seems to think because of where it is, you could get up to 5,000 a month for it. And I thought well, he knows better than I do.
Okay, 5,000 a month seems unrealistic, but even if you're looking at 3,200, I don't know who's paying $5,000 a month in Phoenix. 30 3,500 maybe. But even then, right? Like if your tax and insurance are $500, you're crushing it in cash flow. You got into the deal for 25K. You know, you'd have to put some work into it too to get that 30, that high rent payment, right? So there's just a lot of unknowns.
Looking at the properties around it, I mean, there's a lot of others nicer that you would pay 5,000 a month for, as opposed to this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of other properties you'd rather pay $5,000 in rent for, you said. Right. Okay. So this is just a simple starting point. And this is what's great about seller finance, is because it gets your foot in the door with an otherwise unmotivated seller, right? Like, okay, you're not willing to accept my cash offer at 400. I'd love to offer you 510, but if you're determining the price, then I need to determine the rest of the terms. So 25,000 to me is very generous, because I easily could put another $50,000 worth of work into it. And then 3% interest rate, right? Like it just doesn't make sense for me to buy this at 8% interest rate. I'd never buy a property at 8% interest rate. So, but at this term, at this, cost, it allows you to cash flow it. If it's livable, you may not need to make major improvements right away. Maybe just carpet and paint, leave the kitchens and bathrooms how they are. So I would present an offer similar to this. Yeah. Purchase price 510, down payment 25, seller finance 485 at 3% over 30 years. I wouldn't even mention a balloon. And then here's the tricky part. If they come back and they agree to this, right, but they say, okay, well, we want a 2-year balloon. Now that sort of kills the deal, right? Well, I can't give you that price and a 2-year balloon, because then I have to look at it as a fix and flip again, right? So I need my price to be lower. Does that make sense, Simon?
Yeah. The only thing with this particular property and the sellers on there, the agent actually turned around and said nothing. They wanted cash only, and I delved into it a bit more, and it's because they were elderly more than anything. If you go in there and say that we'll do 30-year terms, they're going into assisted living. So I mean, I think that's off the table straight up.
Right. And then, so yeah, I'm looking at their mortgage now too. Not sure if this is accurate. It says that in 1994, they bought it. They had a $13,000 loan on it. It looks like in 2003, they maybe refinanced and pulled 122,000. 2006, I don't know, again, still if this is accurate, they maybe pulled another 100,000 out.
Right.
And then in 2007, it shows, it says the loan type is unknown. So I'm not sure if these are refinances. The lender in 2003 and 6 was GMAC Mortgage Corp. And then in 2007, it was Provident Funding Associates. So maybe they sold it. Or they refinance it again. But yeah, it does show their balance is $223,000 and they have a 6.15 rate. So yeah, I mean, that would be my conversation. Like, hey, I'm willing to present a seller finance offer, but if they're wanting to cash out, here's where my price is, see what they say to it. That might be one I just continue to follow up with. If they're not entertaining a low cash offer, they're not going to list it. They're not open to creative finance. Like, how do they hope to sell it? Like it's just not realistic. So they'll definitely either end up having to list it or drop the price, one or the other.
Yeah. One thing I did notice on the area, that everything that had sold around there or was on the market, had been on the market for in excess of 40 days. Up to 10, 15 properties in the area in excess of 40 days, sorry. Which is just a low area for people to buy in, or is it because people live there a lot longer? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the average time for homes on market now across the country is around 45 days.
Oh, right.
like homes just aren't selling as fast, especially homes. Once you start getting into the $5, $6, $7, $800,000 range, people just cannot afford a even a $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 at 8% interest rate, which is where average loans are being given now, right? So like even just a $500,000 loan at 8%, your principal and interest payment, not including taxes and insurance, is $3,668. Add another $500 to $1,000 on top of that for taxes and insurance. I'd much rather just go rent, right? Like what's the point of owning a home when I literally am paying almost double? In some cases, it all depends again on location, but it's just, yeah, it's very expensive to own a home. I want to say that for someone to qualify for a $500,000 loan at 8% interest, they probably have to make upwards of at least $150,000 a year, if not more. And just the vast majority of our country doesn't make that. So that's why these homes are sitting on the market.
So the best way forward on this one is to try and get it at 400 and flip it, or hold and rent. Would that be the...
Yeah, I would say cash, your exit strategy is going to be a flip. If they're open to creative, it would be a buy and hold. So that's how I would look at it. And that's how I would explain it to the realtor. Like, hey, I utilize and deploy multiple exit strategies. But if your seller's not willing to move on the price and they're not willing to negotiate on some seller finance terms, it kills all my exit strategies. No investor, it's not just me, no other investor that knows what they're doing will buy this. So they should just list it. And if they don't want to list it, then they have to sell it to an investor. So
one other thing he did say, they wanted to clear it up within 10 days.
Right. It's I mean, if they want to sell and close in 10 days, again, you're going to have to sell it to an investor, because if you're going to sell it to a homestead buyer that's going to get an FHA loan or a VA loan, it's going to easily take 30 days, if not 45 days.
Right. Great. Thank you very much.
Right on. Thanks, Simon. Yeah, no, that's a good one, man.
Cheers.
Dorette, what do you got for us?
Yeah, hi Dylan, if someone says to you, make me an offer, I did say to them, what do you have in mind? Let me know, and I'll have a discussion with my partner to see how we can work it out. Did I say, because I'm listening to Pace too, because Pace always say, well, okay, try to hear what they have to say. They have to, and then you can work around their offer. So tell me, for future reference, how do I represent that? How do I, talk that over or speak to them about?
Good question. This is just sales 101, right? Like if you're the person to say your number first, you lose. Right. Because, you could be shooting yourself in the foot. You never know. So I think that's especially true when you're dealing with direct to sellers in cash. You want them to say their number first, again, because you could be shooting yourself in the foot when they might have given you half of what you were expecting to pay. But when you're dealing with obviously an on-market price or an on-market property, it doesn't matter because you know what their price is, right? Now, when I'm dealing with, let's say, an off-market deal, so I'm direct to seller and they're open to creative finance, I'm not afraid to send them an offer because I'm not too concerned with the price I'm paying. I'm more concerned with the terms I'm getting. Right? Like Pace uses this example. I think it's the best example. I would buy any house in the country for $1 million. I don't care what it looks like. If I could buy that house for $0 down and pay $1 a month for 1 million months, right? I would buy any house, it just makes so much sense.
Right?
Right. No balloon. What was that, Direct?
That would be the seller finance, right?
That would be a seller finance. Yeah. If they finance me $1 million, but it's like, I just give them $1 a month, right? Like it makes, of course, that's a great deal for me. But even though they got their $1 million, their asking price, it's not a great deal for them. So when someone says, make me a seller finance offer, I'm like, okay, I just check comps and see like, okay, what's a reasonable price? I'll offer them fair market value for their home, but I'm going to offer, 3 to 5% down with a 3% interest rate amortized over 30 to 50 years, no balloon, right? So it's very beneficial for me. And if they come back and say, okay, I love that price, but your terms suck, I'm going to say, okay, well, then, it's a sliding scale. Your price needs to come down for my terms need to go up.
Okay, because all of this is like very new. I'm just catching on to, words and terminologies. So my best out is to just say, well, okay, let me get back to you after I speak to my partner, because I'm always hanging on to the partner thing.
Mm-hmm. And I do that too, even though like I'm pretty confident what my numbers need to be. I'm always deferring it to an underwriter or my partner or my guy that writes the checks, whatever. Yeah, it's just going to come from, experience on the phones and just watching videos, right? Like when you're dealing, let's go back to cash, for example, if they say, well, make me an offer, but let's say you haven't walked the property, you haven't seen pictures, like realistically, you can't make an offer because you don't know what it looks like, the condition, right? So any offer, this is what I would say, any offer I give you would just be a completely made up number. I haven't seen the property. I don't really know what the homes are going for in that neighborhood, whatever you say. All of this, you're just deflecting to try to get them to tell you a number.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Yes, that was actually some of the points that are ideas that I had in my head. Whatever you were saying, because I was saying to him, well, okay, we haven't seen the property yet. Let's go check the property out, and then we can come to a decision if it's right for us. And then I leave it at that.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Sometimes you're going to have a seller that also sincerely, they have no idea what their home's worth. So sometimes you got to work through it together with them. But that's usually a good case, because then you can show them like, hey, here's what homes in your neighborhood are selling for. And here's how much or work your home needs. Right. So naturally, here's the price I can offer you.
All right. Thank you.
Right on. Thanks, Tourette. Sean says, I was doing a full kitchen remodel for $150 a square foot in Sonoma 2 years ago. That is crazy. That's a lot of money. Is Sonoma in California? I don't know. Okay, Pansy, what do you want to do with that one? Do you just want help with it outside of the Zoom, or do you want to look at it on the Zoom?
Do you want to underwrite it, maybe?
Yeah, if you want to show it, or
yeah, I mean, it's on market. I just happen to be looking in my area I'm hoping to get up to a fourplex, and I just happened to come across this as a newer listing in my area, and you were doing underwriting. I'm like, heck, why not, right?
Let's do it. Okay, let me get to Matt and Amy, and then we'll jump to yours, Pansy.
Okay, yeah, no.
All right. Matt, what do you got for us?
I have a lead that I wanted to see if we could take a look at underwriting.
Sure.
Unless you want to
do it.
Okay. All right. Here, I'll text you or I'll message you the address in the chat real quick.
Yeah. And I'm trying to kind of like hide the address, because YouTube takes down the videos when we're like showing addresses and stuff for whatever reason. And I just want to make sure that I'm protecting your guys' leads as well.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. Okay. I got it. Okay. So let me take a look at this. Can you give me like a backstory?
Yeah. So I was calling on foreclosures and got a hold of this guy. It's in pre-foreclosure. It's been delinquent for 6 months. It's an inherited house. It's in a trust, and I've only talked to one of the brothers. The other brother I haven't talked to yet. The one brother is very motivated to sell. He just wants to get rid of it. I got beers with the dude, went to the house, visited the property, have a bunch of pictures of it. He's really motivated to sell. So, you know, it's a inherited vacant house in foreclosure. So,
Okay. How'd you find it?
Larimer County foreclosure listings on the
Okay.
public trustees website.
And so you're just cold calling, you got in touch with the guy that
Yeah, I
you
just
went and
get
had
crazy.
beers with?
Yeah, I cold called him. Yeah, he's one of the guys on the trust. Yeah.
Love it, man. Okay. So this is an interesting one. Do you know how many people are in the trusts?
Just him and his brother. So
Okay.
I need to get his brother on board, but he wanted to get an appraisal and he's getting that done on Thursday before he talked to his brother about it. Just that way, I had the information to present to him when we kind of go through negotiating the deal.
Okay. Love it. Typically,
But I feel like I have
when
pretty good rapport with this dude.
yeah, you went and had beers with him. It sounds like it. I love it. So typically when a property goes through probate, right, depending on how many heirs there are, they usually appoint one person as the responsible one that's in charge of, you know, selling the real estate. Has the probate been finalized yet? Do you know?
Well, it's in a trust. I assume the probate has been, but I'm not 100% familiar with the
Yeah.
process.
Actually, you are right. Because it's in a trust, the home is actually excluded from the probate typically.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Angie's listening, if she can verify that. It does depend on the trust, is what Joey says
So
as well too.
I haven't seen the trust documents either, but
Okay.
he's 6 months behind. The monthly payment on his, like, the last monthly payment, I don't know how to, I don't have the, like, a statement to separate out the PITI, but his last payment was $1,650. So it's a 2.5% interest rate, and the principal on the mortgage is like 341. So I think ARV is probably like 415, 420 maybe. And the house needs probably to, like, make it rent. I think, like, it's a good exit for a wrap or a long-term rental. Rent rates would probably be like 2100, 2150. I don't know. You can medium term rental it. It's really close to two hospitals next to downtown area. But back to the numbers. I think it could wrap or long-term rental.
For
So I
sure.
would guess
What is
that he's
it?
probably like 12,000 in arrears at 1,600 for 12, 6 months late.
Right. Does it need updating? It seems like an older style of a home.
Yeah, I have pictures of it. But like, both the bathrooms need redone. The kitchen's newly redone. The HVAC, like the AC unit and the furnace, are both like within 5 years old. New. I didn't, like, look at the electrical panel or anything, but, like, it would probably need new floors, new paint, two bathrooms, and then there's, like, a little patio out in the back, if you can see it, like a patio that's attached to the detached garage. And that the ceiling in there has, like, some water damage, but it's like a 10 by 15 little covered shitty patio.
Gotcha. Okay. So needs some updates, not too much. Best says
Yeah,
if
probably
he's a
like 25.
successor, 25 grand. That sounds right. That says if
Is
he's a
what I would.
successor trustee, they can bypass probate. It depends on how the trust was set up. Best to check. Yeah. Yep. Best to check the trust docs. So let's assume that both him and his brother are both equally the decision makers. So yeah, looking at it,
But I guess I
from
don't know
the
if those numbers that I'm running, like, seem good, or, like, if you think that's a pursuable deal, or, like, if that's, like, something you should get on contract, or how, I don't know. What's your opinion on the whole
I mean, it all depends,
deal?
right? If they're willing to just sell it to us subject to, you take over that 2.5 rate, just catch up the arrears, they'll walk away from it, then it's a great deal, right? So just depends on what they're willing to accept. You have the bones of a good deal here. I'm just looking at some comparables and stuff like that. So PropStream is assuming its value around 400,000. I'm looking at some homes that sold near it. Actually, let's see, this one sold in 2022 for, it says your property sold for $30,000 in 2022.
I
don't
think that's when
know.
the trust happened.
That's when the trust happened. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why it's recorded like that.
Yeah. Okay, here's another home. I would say this is very does that home have a basement in it?
Yeah.
It does,
It
okay.
has like the space for 4 bedrooms, but I don't know if like code wise you could list it that way.
Gotcha. Okay. So actually the next
Rest and stuff.
door, let me look at comps from just the last 90 days. Okay. So there's only one home that sold September of this year, 2 bed, 2 bath, 1,100 square feet. Seems okay, a little outdated, but it only sold for 275. There's not really many other comps. 325. This one sold for 325. This is probably a pretty comparable home. Pretty nice. Yeah, very nice. Decently nice on the inside. So yeah, I think your comps are probably closer to the 300-ish range, especially with the work it needs. Now, when we're dealing with creative finance, like you're not too concerned with comps necessarily. You are and you aren't, right? Like again, going back to the $1 million thing, it depends on how good the financing is, the rest of the terms. He wants to get an appraisal. I think that's a great idea for him to get an appraisal, because it might even come back for less than what he owes on it.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of hoping, that it would come in low and then he would just be like, oh shit, I need to get rid of this thing.
Right. But yeah, I do see he owes 338,000. It's a VA loan. You can take over properties from dead people. So if it's his dad's loan, you can take over a subject to loan from a dead person. If he's got a 2.5 rate, yeah. So you just need to know more about this guy. I think the appraisal is a good idea, and then you'd have to get the brother on board too. But if you catch up those arrears, take over the mortgage, that's a great deal. Maybe you can break them off, 10 grand on top of that. I'll have to look into it a little bit more deeply, but you definitely have the making of a pretty good creative deal there, man.
Yeah, do you guys create sub 2 deals, like you guys personally?
Yeah, we've probably assigned 40 or so sub 2 deals this year. So if you're open to JV, we could definitely help negotiate it if you need that. We can help write the contract, open escrow, deposit earnest money, find a buyer wherever you think you might need help. That's where we come in.
Okay, yeah, that'd be awesome. I probably need maybe some help on it. I'll see what the interaction with the brother looks like, if it's even attainable. Try to get a hold of the trust docs. And then like he tried to get a payoff statement from the bank and they said that he needed to do some sort of process to get that. Does he need anything special since he's probably not the one on the mortgage, or what's the best way to go about getting that? I don't know what to tell him. I don't want to like pique their interest too much or like have them do the wrong thing or whatever.
Right. You don't want to have to like tip off the lender.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably an O&E, Raymond says. Title search. Yeah. It has to be in his trust docs. I'm actually not too sure. Maybe Ray knows, but yeah, or Angie. Angie should know that as the probate specialist, but I don't know if she's listening. Yeah, you might just have to call the bank, or they would have to call the bank and see what they need to be able to get access to a payoff and, see what it would look like to reinstate the loan, that sort of stuff. I'm not too sure though.
Yeah, that's a process that I'm not familiar with. So
yeah, I would tell them just to contact the bank and see what they, what the process looks like for them to know actually what's going on, so they can, settle the probate, I guess. But yeah, most definitely, man. Yeah, if you are, let me shoot you a DM real quick too, Matt. This is my phone number. So if you get a further along with this one and you still need help with it, shoot me a text.
all right, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
sounds
thanks,
good,
Matt.
Yep.
All right, brother. Good luck. All right, Amy Vance Lambrook, what do you got for us?
Hey, I'll try to be quick so we give Pansy some time. Thank you guys for doing this on what is a holiday for many people. So anyway, I have a couple of things. One is really interesting that Joey was an amazing help for. It's a partner flip, and it's off market, but it's in an area of redevelopment. So calculating ARV is my challenge right now because they're being leveled, basically tearing down all these little homes, and they're building these kind of 2 to 3 story mixed use townhomes and shops, things like that. So the other properties that have sold next to it are also off market. So we can't really use those as comps, but the realtor who sold hers has told me what hers sold for. But I'm really having, I'm getting to have the opportunity of putting together justification for an ARV that I have no idea how to calculate. Because probably these are, they'll be million and a half dollar buildings, because they have to build by the architectural specifications. But the woman selling it, is open to doing the partner flip, and I'm glad that we can do that for her and get her in a home that's not falling down, because this one it's a total tear down. Like it's just a mess what they're living in right now. So what are your suggestions for how to
So they're open to
calculate?
innovation, but you're not sure what the ARV is.
Well, yeah, I think, and Joey, please chime in if you can. It isn't quite a novation. Unless that's what a partner flip is. My realtor is talking to his attorney to kind of figure out how to do that in Texas. But we pay them out in cash now, and then after the renovations, we'll pay an additional, the buyer will pay an additional sum at the point of resale of the property.
Okay. A novation a novation can be multiple things too. A partner flip is technically a novation when you're partnering with the seller. But there's so many different ways you can structure a novation and structure it, negotiate it, all that good stuff. And I'm definitely not the expert for novations. But you definitely want to know your ARV, right? So was that a question? You're not sure quite how to comp it?
Right. Well, how to calculate it, because the comps they're being built, but they aren't finished yet, and they're just now demolishing all the other homes around this little one. So they're moving pretty quickly. And I guess the second question then, if it's a novation, is there, because I know PACE says no to novations and to do an executory contract. So anyway, whatever wisdom you can offer is great.
Yeah. Ray has a good idea. Ask a different agent for a CMA, just get different opinions that way. So there's developers like knocking down houses and building these expensive buildings around that property, you're saying?
They bought them, but they bought them off market. So I have one of the realtors who sold her own lot and then sold a couple more of these other lots, and they're all selling like I can't, anyway, I don't want to say too much on YouTube, but they were nearly twice the price of what I'm getting this one for.
Oh, wow. Okay. But so you're trying to figure out, like, the home will be just scraped and they're going to build a building there?
Right.
Okay. So you're trying to figure out what will that building sell for?
Right.
That developer that's doing all the work around the house probably has a good idea, right? Like, they wouldn't be making that play if they weren't confident that they could make a pretty penny. So I would say maybe somehow try to connect with that developer. That would be my first go-to, is like, okay, these guys seem to know what they're doing. They know their numbers, right? They're doing the construction. They probably have a pretty good guess of what their ARV is. So that would be my first choice, is to get in touch with them somehow, right? Like skip trace their LLC, yeah, you use Privy to find the builder.
Mhm.
Google their company. Is it local to you?
No, but it's nearby, and I've looked up who is handling some of the development. I'm just not sure. I think these lots are sold to individual developers. They just have to comply with the architectural specifications of what the city planning or whomever the development committee was. So, but I'll do some more digging and see if what my realtor can figure out too.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not
from
too sure.
whatever's on
Maybe
the MLS.
someone that does appraisals in that neighborhood or area might be able to help
Okay.
you. Get a rough idea. Yeah, I would say, leverage different agents. I'm not too sure though. Sometimes places are just hard to comp and you kind of have to guess, but pool as much information as you can to make the most educated guess possible.
Okay. That's what I've been doing. I just didn't know if there was something I was missing, and I'm gonna do some more digging into developers.
There might be, but it's also something I'm missing too. So I don't
Okay.
quite
Well,
know,
I'll
Amy.
let you know whatever I find out. I'll make it a group learning experience. So it's definitely
Awesome.
not a dull deal, and I'm glad I can help this little lady out too.
Love it. Right on.
Great. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Amy. Stevie, did you have something? I don't know. You keep raising your hand and
Yeah, I
dropping
was
it.
just gonna say that Pace just did a thing on novations, and he's just pretty much like stay away from them. That it's super risky. I guess especially in this market. So I might do some research on that, Amy, and not that Pace is like the end all be all by any means, but he definitely has more experience in novations, and it sounds like on something on this particular project, it sounds like it's really detailed, but on novations for sure. I'm not saying that you should not ever get into them. I would definitely do some deep diving before I get into a novation contract, and make sure that you definitely have all your ducks in the row, all your I's dotted, all your T's crossed. Make sure everything is there, because a lot of people have been burned here lately through novation contracts. And it's just something that he's like highly recommending not to get involved in. So I would definitely do the definitely, yeah, there you go. Michael just put something in there about Novation King, but I would definitely do your homework.
Right. I've been researching a
Mhm.
lot, Stevie. I just wanted to explore because I know Pace says do an executory contract because you actually have ownership of the
Mhm.
property. And that's what I want to do. I basically want to give them, do the normal like we would with any wholesale deal. And then upon the resale of the new building, give her an additional sum of money, but not until that happens.
Yeah.
I don't know how to
Yeah.
structure that legally.
Okay.
But I definitely don't. I know a lot of what he has said because certainly I'm new to it. I've just spent hours digging into his trainings, the Novation Kings trainings, Jerry's, everybody I could find. And I just am, I don't want to, he is much wiser than I just want to make sure we take ownership, which was one of his big concerns.
Yeah.
That we have control of the property.
Mhm.
But I also don't want to pay her all of this out until we have, the new property built and there's some
Right.
value established in a concrete way there.
Correct. Absolutely.
I love
Absolutely.
it. I think
Okay,
that's
wish
not
you
a
luck
bad
for
idea.
sure.
What's that?
I said I wish you luck for sure.
Well, thank you. I have been learning a lot, but I totally heed his no to novations because I know we don't take ownership of or control of the property. But I thought I didn't even know if it could be done. I just thought this would be kind of a great way for a buyer to get in on it and also give her you know, a little more than what we would be able to do with just a straight cash.
Yeah, I think innovation is not a bad idea, especially when you're not positive of your ARV too.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think when you know your ARV for sure, like you're better off just doing cash, because you know where you need to be. But versus innovation, right? You still have to kind of have a ballpark, but if you're in the positive, so much, then it's great return for your seller. But if maybe it's slim, you're not going to make that much money, your seller can take that hit with you. So I think that's a good idea.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. I'll let you know what I figure out, but we're
Let's
definitely
go.
getting an attorney involved and making sure everything is on the up and up and protects everybody involved.
Right on. All right. Yeah. Good luck, Amy.
Thank you.
Sweet. Thank you guys. Awesome. Well, I know Pansy said that her lead ended up being a dud, so we'll move on to the next one. But yeah, thank you guys so much for showing up. We're gonna have to end it here a little bit short, but hopefully you guys got some value, right? We underwrote a potential cash deal. We looked at a creative finance deal, right? So if you guys got any value at all, definitely feel free to join the Facebook group. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen one more time. Make sure you guys are tapped into the Facebook group. Fill out these questions. So just like this, make sure you guys answer these questions for us, or someone will deny you. It won't be me, but someone will. Make sure you're also subscribed to the YouTube channel. And then lastly, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram too. You don't have to, but we'd greatly appreciate it if you could. So thank you guys for showing up. We will see you on Friday at noon Mountain Time. Yeah, noon Mountain Time. That's 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific. Hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much. We'll see you then. Peace. See you guys.